nangojea pijo kupanda, landa, nangojea pijo kupanda.
This is the village of Hanga getting ready for its day. This is when women collect the first water for the day. Mancala is a gambling game played by the men of the village. These bricks are made from an abandoned anthill and is also a use of water in this village.
Okay.
Corn is milled in this machine to make ugali for the villagers. Ugali is very similar to grits.
Inapokosekana wengi wanafika kuchota.
An average of 6 to 8 families will share a spigot. This man is showing how long his family needs to walk to get to the water.
Habari mliso? Mliso? Halo?
Ele não pode na rela, ele não. Ele não pode na rela. Ele não quer tirar o dedo, não.
É?
Ele não quer tirar o dedo, não.
Most of the pumps in the village only operate for 1 hour in the morning and the evening. Because the water supply is erratic, full buckets will sit for much of the day, gathering bacterial contaminants and breeding mosquitoes. Ah, finally. While some people boil their water, most do not. Okay, can you ask them if they, when they draw from the well and they get the water, whether they boil the water before they drink it or do they just drink it?
Baada ya kuchota maji yale huwa mnachemsha au mnaweka tu?
Is that funny? They don't boil it? Tanzania, like many African countries, suffered several years of drought, crippling people's access to water and the country's main source of power generation. Ask them, is it just the women who go to get the water or the men as well?
Jamani, anauliza mzungu hivi, yaani kina baba wamne kuchota maji kule au ni kazi ya kina mama tu kuchota maji kule na kina baba wanachota
kina mama tu. Kina mama tu hapa sisi tunayatumia. Okay.
Okay.
If you don't have married and then you can go to draw. If you have a wife, and then you can.
Okay.
We revisited those wells that we had installed pumps in the previous year and asked the villagers about the maintenance, if any, that they had done during the past year, asked about the quality of water that they were receiving from these wells, asked about the quantity of water, if the wells were going dry at any time. We also took water samples and did some microbial screening of those water samples, specifically for coliforms and E. coli. We were very glad to see that after the plates had a chance to mature, we did not see any evidence of bacterial contamination in the water from these wells. So we've achieved one of our objectives, which is providing clean water and reducing the amount of at least potential waterborne illness in these villages.
So this is the main diversion for the Hanga Abbey. The water flows down here. The overflow section that you see, which is knockout of the wall, allows the biological material that's on top of the water column to flow away. The remaining water flows into this system over here. That allows the larger stones and the sediment to slowly be taken out of the column as the water gets slowed down. The pipe you see there where it's flowing out allows any extra water that builds up in the tank from the pipeline down the line being slowed where they turn a valve to limit water flow or maintain the pressure. It allows it to overflow there. The tank you see in front of you here is the final process in the sedimentation. It allows more of the sand to dissolve out of the water column and settle down. As it enters the pipeline over there, it is essentially sand-free. So as you can see, the water is still quite turbid. The bugs that are on the water column kind of hint that there's much filtration needed, and that is where future projects.
The water is conducted down to the village in a pipeline, but there's currently no treatment on this system. So any contaminants that are in the stream, and again these are primarily bacterial contaminants, these are all carried right to the taps in the village and the taps in the abbey. The slow sand filter that we have started construction on is a low-tech system, but that also makes it a sustainable system in this particular culture and society.
Sort of. Okay, so all the way along this area over here, there's a clearing, and that's the main pipeline that we just saw from above. It's approximately 6 inches wide all the way through here, and it's separated to the side. What we're doing is we're taking the water that was up there where they had removed the turbidity and brought it down with the sedimentation tanks. We're putting in a filtration tank here, so it'll actually consume the biological component of it. So all the organisms that are in it will be removed, hopefully. And in order to do that, we have to have a level surface. It's approximately 11 meters by 22 meters. Sounds right, about there. And as you can see behind you, it's pretty much, it's a very large undertaking because there's not much flat ground around here. Original plan was to dig it out over here, but that involved digging down a meter, which is a little under a yard, so about 3 feet deep. Here was actually 1.2 meters down. And by using the only tractor on site, it was taking up to 2 or 3 days that we do not have. And so instead of orientating it along the pipeline parallel to it, we put it perpendicular, which means we'll have to spend a little bit more piping, but it allowed us to get the slab inserted.
Of the size and types of trucks that are available to transport this. The construction of the steel mat had to spend quite a bit of time and quite a bit of muscle to get the steel back to something closer to straight. Fortunately, we were aided in all of these pieces requiring muscle by not only the EWB students on this trip, but also a collection of students from the local secondary school. It just happened to be that the construction was occurring during a school holiday, and these students were available to work on our project, and in the process they were also earning some of the tuition for their next school term. The students who were representing OIT and Engineers Without Borders included Greg Gould, a new graduate in civil engineering, Jordan Hunter, who just completed his sophomore year in civil engineering, Callan Haas, a student in environmental sciences and renewable energy engineering, and David Andrews, a biology pre-med student. So a wide diversity of students, with obviously the emphasis on the heavy construction side, given that was our prime tasking for the year. And then what we have seen since we've returned to the U.S. is photographic evidence that indeed our local partners were able to complete pouring the remainder of the concrete slab and actually put a nice moist clay cap on it to keep it moist while the concrete was curing. We hope to have a good base starting next year then for the filter walls.
Karibuni. Tulikuwa tunajua kabisa kwamba leo tutapata wageni. Tulikuwa tunajua